Welcome, everyone, to an extraordinary podcast/live video streaming experience, presented by FentanylSolution.org in collaboration with the compassionate minds at the Fentanyl Solution Group. Get ready for engaging conversations, expert insights. Welcome to Fentanyl Solution, advocating for lives, inspiring change.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to Fentanyl Solutions syndicated podcast and live stream. I'm Janice Celeste. I am the president and CEO of FentanylSolution.org and of Fentanyl Solution Group. We are a nonprofit. We're based in Orange County. However, we do work nationwide. I want to tell you and all of your followers all about the show. Make sure you share the link, and sharing is caring. So this is the way we get the word out about all the good work that we're doing. The replay will be available right after the broadcast. Know that our hashtag for the show is hashtag Fentanyl Solution. Viewers who are watching live, you can comment on our Facebook page and your comments could make it to the live show, but do it early so that way we have time to feature it. Now, today we have California State Senator Janet Nguyen, who has been actively working on the fentanyl crisis for a while. Welcome, Senator Nguyen.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you for having me.
Oh, wow. We're happy to have you on the show. I mean, you have been in the forefront of this fight for a very long time. Yeah. So we know you are, you know, all there is to know about legislation and fentanyl.
I do. You know, it's a fight that we have to keep on fighting. And, you know, it's actually beginning to move in the right direction. But it's taken us a lot, and thousands and tens of thousands of people not here today because of, you know, of the lack of efforts in Sacramento. And so, you know, really appreciate your association and all the folks, especially the parents and the families that comes to Sacramento every time we have a legislation or a bill or a committee hearing, a press conference all across the state of California. They're always there because I just can't imagine being in their shoes. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I want to make sure that, you know, no other children or no other young adults fall victim of the fentanyl crisis and poisoning.
Absolutely. Is that what drives you, looking at your own children, and you want to get rid of this before they can even experience it or know really much about it?
Yes. I mean, when you hear the stats that 100 Californians per day dies from fentanyl. When you hear that potentially by the end of this month, by the end of the year, there'll be about 6,000 Californians, and that the highest the number one death to young adults 18 to 45 in America is fentanyl. We're literally watching a whole generation vanish before our eyes, and we're sitting in Sacramento idle, doing nothing. And then when I have to, as a mom last year, when fentanyl was laced in Skittles and Smartie candies, I sat my boys down before we went trick-or-treating. My boy still loves trick-or-treating. We have like 10 or 20 boys and girls that join. All of us family come together and we let the kids go trick-or-treating. And, you know, I had to sit down with them and have a conversation and say, you know what? You cannot take any candies from anybody anymore, even so-and-so who you've known since you were born, because they don't know where those Skittles come from or those Smartie candies. We shouldn't have to live our life like that. We shouldn't have to worry if a candy is going to end up, you know, harming my child or my children or your children, your child. I mean, we shouldn't be in that situation. Had Sacramento done their job in the last decade, and we haven't. So we are where we are today, but because of Fentanyl Solution Group and all the parents across the state who continue to fight it. And because of that, we are so grateful, you know, those efforts coming out and helping. Those are the real stories. Those are the painful stories that these legislators who refuse to do anything are now moving in the right direction.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about Sacramento. Why have we had all these bills that Public Safety Committee to regulate fentanyl or to help this crisis, and very few have made it through. What's going on there? Why don't they seem to see the urgency?
It seems like in the last decade or more now, Sacramento views they want to do criminal justice reform, which I agree that there are folks who shouldn't go to jail, should go to rehab. There's no doubt there are folks who we can help. But I don't see you doing that for drug dealers. And so I think the mindset of criminal justice reform is basically shut down every jail in California and allow these individuals to reform on their own, or to go into trust them to go into rehab, trust them to go into these programs, and then maybe they will be a good citizen that won't harm other folks. Well, I don't know if you can reform a drug dealer. And I don't think the problem, though, I think with the idea of criminal justice reform in the mindset of a lot of these, Democrats, a lot of these progressive, is that they believe that they can reform even drug dealers, even murderers. And so any of the bills, including my bill, which was SB 62, which was very simple, it would to increase sentencing for drug dealers holding 1 kilogram of fentanyl, which is about 10,000 pills of fentanyl, which will kill or could kill 500,000 people. So we're talking about, you can't mistaken someone who is a dealer with my bill. If you have 10,000 pills, you're not a user. So the argument that was against our bill during the committee hearing was that, well, we didn't want to put away a user by accident. I said, well, a user won't be carrying 10,000 pills of fentanyl. That's only a dealer would. And so their mindset is that if we put anybody in jail, it might be an accident that we hurt a user. Look, I am all for helping the user. I'm all for programs, everything we can to help the user and their family, no doubt. And I don't want any users to be by accident be put in jail for something they didn't do. But we're talking about specific drug dealers. We're talking about people who would be carrying 10,000 pills. And so it's night and day. The good news, though, is that our bill, even though it was killed and put on reconsideration on the Senate side, another bill on the Assembly, AB 701, is an identical bill to mine, to my SB 62, which ended up, and I'm not the principal co-author of it, has passed the Assembly, has passed the Senate, Public Safety as well, and now is heading and waiting in the Appropriation Committee before it gets to go on to the Senate floor. And so we're very hopeful. And, this is the moment where we have to have the discussion. And I travel across my district and other areas in the state, and I just remind parents, I said, look, most people who ends up dying from fentanyl never knew that they didn't even sought for fentanyl. We need to have a serious discussion. If you think that your daughter, son, the perfect straight A student, the perfect athlete, heading to Harvard, heading to Stanford, MIT, whatever it is, have never done drugs, don't think that they won't fall victim to fentanyl by accident. So you have to have that conversation. You have to have it because they need to be aware, and they need to know that, hey, I'm not going to take that pill. If you want painkiller, let's go to the pharmacy. Have that discussion. Let them be comfortable with you as the parent, coming to you as their parent, uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa, whatever it is. Make sure that these young adults and even our children, more children today are being killed that are 10 and 12 years old, my children's age, because of fentanyl. Mm-hmm. And so we need to have those conversations. On top of course, we as the state needs to penalize drug dealers, put them away. The more of them away, the less there is available out there. Second is we need to have mechanism and means to rescue and try to save somebody at that moment. And so lots of bill in the state right now that has passed as well, that involves education, that involves funding, that involves talking about, having, making sure school district, government facilities, stadium has Narcan, and having people trained to use Narcan, and making Narcan available to parents as well. I think it's the right thing to do. So it's not just one step system or what only one pathway to fixing this. No, it's everything in combination, because we don't want to look at the next generation, let them vanish. These are our children. These are the future of our country, of our families. We need to help them, and it's not them. It's that the system has failed them, and that system is Sacramento.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, I found that the Public Safety Committee in Sacramento have been focusing on harm reduction, which is only one facet of what needs to happen. But with harm reduction, there being their only focus, the children, they tend to fall through the cracks. And we have two things going on here for our listeners to understand. We have fentanyl overdoses, which is usually someone who has an addiction to a drug. It could be fentanyl, or it could be something else that has fentanyl in it, but then that falls into poisoning. And most of the teens and children that have succumbed to fentanyl thought they were taking a pill or something else, not even a whole pill most of the times. They're really cautious kids, because most of them who have passed have taken a half a pill, a quarter of a pill, and that's all they needed, because they have no tolerance to fentanyl. And that little teeny bit, I mean, it would fit on the tip of a point that's very sharpened, will kill them pretty much instantly. So that's called a poisoning. That they don't have to take a handful of pills as in a traditional overdose. And these kids are falling through the cracks with the harm reduction piece of it, because they don't get a chance to get addicted, and they don't get a chance to benefit from any of the programs that the Public Safety Committee wants to put into place. What do you have to say about that? Because that's what I'm concerned about. I'm really concerned about the children, and also the parents who are leaving them behind for the grandparents now to raise, because they may have taken maybe even cocaine for a party, like people did back in the day, who now are very judgmental. But they may have just partied one night and got cocaine with fentanyl in it, and then took a bump of that, and then that was it.
Yeah, Janice, you're right. Fentanyl, 1 milligram of fentanyl, which is a grain of sand.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much you need to take to kill a human being within 4 minutes. So you can take cocaine, you can take heroin, you can take, painkillers, you name it, you won't die from it. But if it's laced with fentanyl, it's done in 4 minutes. And that's the problem that, I think it's unfortunate Sacramento has a very different view of what they believe has happened and should happen, and what they want in the future. And educating, children on fentanyl, or talking about, making sure that we have that, discussion with children, or to talk about how we reform or how to help them. It doesn't exist anymore. The DARE campaign, No on Drugs, it's a conversation, but it's not what it used to be when I was growing up. And now drugs, I mean, when you talk about, you can see what cocaine looks like. You can see what heroin looks like. You can see what marijuana looks like. It's not, you can't see a fentanyl, and you don't know. And I agree with you, is we need to do more to help make sure these children don't take these fentanyl by accident, because 90% of it's all by accident. It was never, nobody will go out and go, I want to go buy fentanyl today. No, it's, unfortunately, there are folks who are and should get help. Those who are on cocaine, those who are on marijuana, whatever it is. Fentanyl is 50% more potent, 100% more than morphine is. This is how dangerous this is. And yet we in California are not putting the right attention to it. We're either putting lots of program and rehab, but people are dying before they even get rehab. We are not focusing on those who are selling it. We're not focused on, children. A lot of these dealers are going to Snapchat and looking for children or young adults, high school, that they get to know them, know that they're an athlete and they got injured, so they're in pain, and they're like, oh hey, I got something that's really good for you, take away your pain for the day. And they go and get that one pill, the very first time they ever got a pill, and boom, they're gone. And that's where is that we need every aspect, everything on the deck right now to help fentanyl, whether that is criminalizing those who are selling it, whether that is arming parents, stadium, any public facilities with Narcan and educating people, whether that is going to the schools and telling children these days, even the youngest, 10 years old, 5 years old, what these are, and telling the young adults. Because when you're over 18, you don't want to hear what mom and dad has to say, but we need them to be aware that, hey, when you go to that party in college, that one drink or just that one pill, and everybody go, oh, it's going to get you high, be really fun. That one pill could take away your life. And none of us parents, we don't want to live longer than our children. I mean, we want them to live longer than us. Mm-hmm. No parents ever want to see their children go before them. I mean, so like I said, I can't imagine what all those parents have gone through. I would never want to be in their place. And for them, though, to stand up in Sacramento, to stand up at every press conference there is in the state of California and relive that story, it is heartbreaking every time I hear it. And that drives me to saying, you know what? Enough is enough. We got to do something. And so this fight is not just my fight. It's not their fight. It's our fight, because we don't want 6,000 more Californians this year to die. Yeah. We just don't.
Right. And you know what? We can't live in a lawless land. So we have to have laws. So to avoid laws just not to put people in prison just seems insane. I mean, I know, people are always talking about, oh, it's another war on drugs, but it really isn't when you dig further into it, because here we are in an unprecedented time where we have the internet. And like you said, they are on Snapchat. That's a cash cow for drug dealers right now. You have people dying exponentially. Like you said, how many people are dying in California a day, and in the country a day? This has never happened on this scale before. And if we're not going to punish those who are doing this, then what are we doing? Because even if I hit someone with my car by accident, because I hear people say, oh, the drug dealers, they don't know what's in there. I don't know if I believe that 100%, but I'm pretty sure they just should know their stash by now. And even if they don't, ignorance of the law is no excuse, right? But if I hit someone with my car and it's an accident, there's still a law in place to handle this. If I kill them, there's a law in place to manage that. Why don't we have a law for this? Or do we have, how long do they stay in prison or jail for this? Or are they just going to jail for having the pills right now? Where are we?
So the bill that just passed and is waiting appropriation will be, all goes well, goes to the Senate floor, and then it passes there. Then it'll end up either, if there's any amendments, it has to go back to the Assembly. But if not, it goes directly to the governor, which would then go effective January 1st, 2024. And that will be, as a 3 years enhancement, the minimum is having 10,000 pills of fentanyl with the possession to sell. And so, the problem you have, though, in California is, you're right, is that when we talk, people say this is a war on drugs. No, it's not. Because the war, when people back then sought for drugs, they didn't seek to die. Fentanyl will kill. So it's not about seeking for drugs just to use for recreation or whatever it is. This is now actual poisoning of individuals and killing people. So it's not about war on drugs. This is about a war on people who are mass murderers. I mean, if you have 10,000 pills and you end up, you can kill 500,000 people. That's half my Senate district will vanish. How's that not mass murder? So we have to get back to the society that this is not just a war on drug. This is about someone who intentionally poisoning and killing individuals. And if you have possession of 10,000 pills, you know what you have.
Mhm.
Don't tell me that you don't know. Oh, it's not fat. I didn't know I'm selling fentanyl. You know what it is. And these are the individuals that needs to go to jail. These are people that needs to stay in jail. The other part you have though is, you know, we need to look at California as a whole in terms of criminals. We keep on allowing criminals for early release as well, which doesn't help our system and the law and order system of California. Because as a mom, I want to know that when my children go to school, it's safe. When they're going to go to watch movies with their friends, they're going to be safe. We right now are a lawless state. It's okay to go into the Target, walk into Target, and then walk out with under a few $100s worth of items, and it's okay. That's not what we should be allowing. And so we need to put these individuals where they need to be. We need to know that there are consequences. If you're going to sell, if you have possession of 10,000 pills, you're going to sell it, you need to be put away.
Right. And I agree with that. I totally believe that if they're worried about another war on drugs, it's more the judicial reform that they need to look at. But we still need laws. So that's where I stand on that. But we're winding down. There are currently 2 fentanyl awareness days, one on the federal level and one on the state level. With you co-authored with Senator Umberg,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, we did. It was a good day because we need to make aware. We need all Californians, young and old, big and small, women and men. Everybody needs to know that the fentanyl crisis can happen to you. It's not. It doesn't. It's not prejudice against any individual. It will find anybody that it can, and you will not be alive. And so we need to make aware, and that's why joining the senator and a lot of the other senators in co-authoring the bill and making sure that we talk about fentanyl and it's how to stop it and what to do next.
Absolutely. And I think that's important because it's bipartisan. It is a
Yes.
bipartisan problem. And we're getting more and more Democrats on board with this, which is important because it's a problem that affects all demographics, all um, economic brackets. It really hits every single person, even though the age range right now is 18 to 45. I guarantee you that's going to expand. We already did a white paper on senior citizens slipping through the cracks because no one looks at them and think they're, addicted. They just don't fit the stereotype, but they are. We're finding the numbers are growing just pretty quickly. I think 4 times what it was 20 years ago. And
Wow.
then, of course, the infants and the babies are accidentally finding it. A lot of times you go visit a friend and you bring your baby and you don't know they're getting into some rainbow colored
Mhm.
fentanyl pills. You just don't, they
Yeah.
don't, you don't expect that. And that's what's been happening a lot of times. But I do want to thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything else you would like to tell the audience about fentanyl and your fight?
No, thank you for having me, and thank you for keeping the fight.
All right.
I just want just to remind parents, grandparents, uncle, aunt, just have that conversation. We do. We need you to spread the word. We need you to have that conversation. It's an uncomfortable one, but as Janice mentioned, fentanyl doesn't discriminate. Doesn't matter what zip code you live in or where you grew up. Doesn't matter, who your friends are. Doesn't matter what you look like. It will creep in, and you will be surprised to know that there's so many that are dying every day within your surrounding and that you're not aware of. So have that conversation, because the more we have this conversation, the more we talk about it, the awareness will then hopefully this crisis will then creep downward and not continue to go upward in numbers.
Awesome. And thank you again. I want to thank all of you for participating and listening to the Fentanyl Solution. We will be live every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook platform and on our Instagram and Twitter at Fentanyl SOL, Fentanyl Soul, and on our website at fentanylsolution.org. Be sure to leave a comment and rate our podcast. Until next time, remember, you are the solution. Take care.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of awareness and compassion. Together, we can make a difference. This has been Fentanyl Solution, advocating for lives, inspiring change. Stay safe, and remember, you are the solution.